Hello, ladies. Hopefully you will start coming in. And so far I haven't seen anyone yet, but this is week 3 and hopefully this goes much smoother. And we're talking about the importance of staying active. And so we're going to get started, but as you come into the group, even once we start, okay, I see one person. I want you to, maybe just put in the chat and just maybe something that you have been able to start doing based on what you wrote down as your I will. So in the chat, also go ahead and mute yourself as you come in. That way, hopefully, we won't have any issues or extra noise. So yeah, just do that. But yeah, as you come in, just go ahead and I'll go ahead and open the chat up so you can put a comment in as you enter. But is there something, week 1 was all about, first of all, making sure we had the correct mindset. And then we talked about self-care, because if we are not taking care of ourselves, then we're not necessarily going to be in the best place to take care of others. And so that's really, really important. And it's easy to, basically say, I don't have time, and to put everything else first. But unfortunately, some of the side notes of that are we can easily get burned out. And then week 2, last week, we talked about food and the importance of the things that we eat. We didn't get into particulars, but we did get into some general things, because food does matter. It affects our mood, it affects our energy level, all of those things. So food is very, very, very important. So again, and then of course today we're talking about movement. We don't like to think necessarily about exercise, but it is huge. And of course, it can be in a lot of different forms. So we'll be getting into that. So again, if there's anything, even if you think of something later on that you think, well, that's something I'm doing now, or maybe you're more consistent on something, then definitely go ahead and share that in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my okay, and let's see. All right, so this week, and give me a thumbs, let me see, make sure. Okay, there we go. All right, so again, we're talking about movement, because movement is so very, very critical. And let's see, I lost my little chat. So let me see, go over here. That way I can make sure. And if anyone has questions. So definitely, if you have any questions along the way, then please let me know. So anyway, as far as, and I said particularly Energize, because that is so, so critical. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, just as we're getting ready to get started, excuse me, I have never had the pleasure of building a house from scratch. However, when we first moved to Illinois, we did add an upstairs, and we had a contractor, and he had the blueprints. And again, this is no accident that I purposely use the whole theme of a blueprint, because again, it's one thing to have it in your head, but it's another thing to actually have it on paper where you can see the details. And I remember in the beginning it was exciting, and he was putting a bedroom and a bathroom, closets, and some storage space. But over the weeks, he was constantly coming back to me and asking me, what about this? And where do you want the outlets in this room? And, how many switches do you want? Which color? And after a while, I'll be honest, I was like, I am so over this. I don't really care. But a lot of those things came back to haunt me later. We have no outlet in the bathroom. Our bathroom is split. There's the toilet and shower in one area, and then there's a hot tub up there and the vanity and another. Now there's an outlet there, but not in where the toilet and shower are. And he probably should have thought of that. But again, I sort of gave up the right and said, hey, I don't care, do what you want. And a lot of times it's those little details that do make a difference later on. And I think even with our health, the details make a huge difference. And a lot of times we let go of things, we don't do those things. But when you combine them, that's when we're at our best. Similar to a recipe. You've got all of your different ingredients, and it'd be easy to say, well, salt surely isn't important because you only need a teaspoon of it, whereas you need 2 cups of flour. So obviously flour is more important. But have you ever made a recipe and forgotten the salt? It totally messes up the whole thing. I have. And so again, as we go through these different areas, each one is very, very important. And it's a combination of things like drinking water, being active, doing those things, getting good sleep. All of those things together are what produces good health. So let's go ahead and go to our first slide. And again, most of the time people are thinking, well, I've got to join a gym. I need to do, I don't have, weights at home. I don't have fitness equipment. And yet those things are nice, but they're not necessarily essential. And so there's so many ways to make sure that you are getting the activity that you need to. On your worksheet, I talked about the benefits. There's so many benefits to exercise. And, I talked about restoring energy. We all need energy. And yet a lot of times people feel zapped and don't have the energy. But it's like, so tell me what you've done today. And the fact is, we sit entirely too much. And because of that, it zaps our energy. And one of the best things that we can do is to get up and to get moving. Get a glass of water, which is good for you, and then get to moving. In an office setting, maybe it's just going to the water fountain, maybe it's going to the kitchen and getting a glass of water and then coming back, maybe doing some leg lifts, but just something, going to check the mail, whatever, just to get yourself moving and, get that hydration also. And it's good for mental clarity and all, that is so key. And again, look what tends to happen in the afternoon, especially if you've had a sugary or a high fat item for lunch. Everybody's tired. And so that's when you really need to make sure that you get up and you get to moving. So, and it's good for heart, it's good for bones, all of those things. Helps to lower blood pressure. There's really so many positive things that come with making sure that we're getting good exercise. It's good for our skin. It helps with fighting disease. And so just like in the picture, something as simple as walking your dog, playing with your kids. I was just out in the yard. I had to come in and get cleaned up, but pulling weeds, all of those things are ways that we can stay active. All right, so again, it can be in many different forms. And like I said, gym membership, great, but you don't have to have that. And so something as simple as like Pilates, doing stretching, those are so good for you. If you do any of these, go ahead and put it in the chat and let me know what are some forms that you enjoy, because it makes such a difference. Like I said, for me, gardening is one that I really enjoy. And again, there are days when it's very light and I almost don't feel like I've really done much. Then there are days when, oh my goodness, I'm dripping. And so, but just being out there is so, so huge. So again, running, I've done a little bit of running, but not so much anymore, but I thoroughly enjoy walking. So that's something that I enjoy. And again, park a distance away and walk the rest of the way. You know, everybody's fighting for the perfect spot at a shopping mall or a store. Okay, so good. Gardening and jogging 3 miles. Good job. So is that walk, jog combination, I'm assuming, because that's really good. All right. And yes, the gardening definitely is. And the thing that I like with the gardening is you're using so many different, okay, good, it's a combo. The thing I like about the gardening is you're using so many different muscles and you're twisting and turning and reaching and bending. And I know sometimes, especially when I'm doing a lot of digging, like in the spring when I'm really getting the soil going, you know, I come in and I'm really sore because I'm using some muscles that I haven't used in a long time. So again, that's one of the really the benefits of doing some of these things that are very, very natural, like gardening, because you are using a lot of different muscles in different areas of your body. Another thing, cleaning. Think of cleaning when you are reaching. So sounds good. Okay, so what kind of plants did you plant yesterday? I still, honestly, I've got a lot in pots, but we've yet to get the new garden tilled, mainly because we've been working on the deck and doing a bunch of other things. But one of these days, I do have some tomatoes now that I think of it. I do have some tomatoes, although they're just flowers, no actual tomatoes yet. So, but again, those are things, plus anything that's outside, I see that as a win-win because you're outdoors, so you're getting some good sunlight, fresh air, some vitamin D. And again, I know I even was moving rock in the process of working on the deck, and I usually use gloves, but all of a sudden I thought, wait a minute, I need to get my hands in the soil. A lot of times we don't realize just how much we need to be connected. Whenever you can, walk outside barefoot, whether it's on the grass, preferably it's grass that isn't sprayed with chemicals or pesticides, but they call that grounding. And that is wonderful for you. Hopefully you won't step on a bee or step on something that's gonna hurt you, but that's really good for you. The other thing is, like I said, I was moving some rocks and all of a sudden I thought, wait a minute, I don't want to use my gloves. And so I used my hands. Now I'll admit my fingernails look pretty bad after, but it felt good. And your skin against the soil is really, really good for you. Lots of good microbes in the soil. So that's a good thing. All right, so lots of good, some okra, basil, tomatoes and peppers. Good job. So again, plus it just makes you want to be outside more when you have a garden and can enjoy that. All right, so what are, on the sheet I asked, what are excuses that keep you from exercising? Because I think it's important. I don't think there's anyone who says, oh, I didn't know that it was important to get exercise. Everybody knows that. Even if they don't understand completely the benefits, everyone knows it's good for you. However, we all have excuses. So what are the excuses that keep you from getting out on a daily basis? Because again, we may not have the gym and all those things, but I think it's important to really make sure that we are, if we do have excuses, that we come back with that's not going to work anymore. Because the more that we're determined, that's when we're going to start seeing the results. If we're saying, hey, rain or shine, for example, if it's a nice day, then by all means, get out and do something outdoors. But if it's a windy day, a rainy day, a snowy day, whatever, we're going to have a backup and we're going to have things for that. So what are excuses? Let me know. Because again, I know sometimes it's, oh, I woke up late, and that can be an excuse, or I don't have time, or, a lot of those are excuses that people come up with. It's too cold, it's too hot. That's one sometimes. And let's face it, in the summer, okay, there's honesty, just lazy. You know what? And sometimes that's a huge one. I don't feel like it. But you know what's interesting? That's a time more than ever we need to plow through, when we don't feel like it. I know I sort of went through that just yesterday. It wasn't with exercise, but just having several things that I needed to do, again, because we've devoted so much time to the outdoors, the indoors has suffered. And so I've just sort of let some things go. Jerome and I switched offices, and I've pretty much gotten mine underway, but I do have a little corner of things that it's like, I'm not sure what to do with this, articles, magazines to read. The hall has a bunch of stuff, but I just didn't feel like it. But it's interesting because a friend called and had something that she wasn't using, and she thought of me, and she said, how, if you want it, I'll just bring it by. And I was like, sure. Do you know what I did? I jumped up and immediately I came in my office and I did a few things, although it was pretty neat. I went over onto Jerome's side and I straightened up, which I had told him I was going to do that a week ago. I got the vacuum cleaner out. I vacuumed the living room. I vacuumed his office. I swept the entryway. I knew we'd be coming in the kitchen because she was bringing something for the kitchen. And I wiped the counters. It was amazing what I did in probably 45 minutes. I was surprised. I was actually embarrassed, but pleasantly surprised at how much I got done. And later in the day, I thought, wow, if I could move at that speed, if I could work with that kind of determination, that would be amazing. There'd be no more excuses about, oh, I don't have time for that. Because I did all of these things because I was on a mission. And I think, like I said, sometimes we need to just force ourselves when we feel, oh, I don't feel like it, or I'm too tired, or I'm just lazy. And I'm talking to myself because there are definitely days. So, all right, I like the idea of the miracle morning. Good job. Okay. And again, that book definitely was a real turning point. And again, I think there wasn't anything new that I learned. It was just said in a different way, and it really gave me that spark that I needed. But we're still going to have those times when we just don't feel like it, just don't want to. And so we need to make sure that those are the times when we sometimes have to say, that's all the more reason that I just need to do it. All right, so again, lots of times we can have excuses. All right, so we've talked about some of the types of exercise that fit into our life, because that's really important. And that's why, for example, there's no point in having a gym membership if it's going to take you too long to get there. It's really inconvenient. There's no point. I know there's, I think it's probably about 35 minutes away. There's a brand new gym that opened. I believe it's a YMCA, and it's a fitness club, and some people in the community have joined. But in my mind, I don't want to drive 25, 35 minutes to get there, because just think of all of the things. Now, I'm not saying that's the case for everyone. I'm just saying for me, I would probably talk myself out of it. So again, you want things, at least at this level when you're first starting, you want it to be so easy that it almost seems ridiculous that you're not doing it, okay? So keep that in mind. All right, let's look at the next slide. All right, again, it is important to be committed. And this is why I want you to use your blueprint to write down, I will. What are some of those things that you're going to do? Because again, it is too easy just to say it in your head and say, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. One of the things we inherited from Jerome's boss, an elliptical machine. It's really nice, but he bought it off of somebody and decided he wanted a new one, and so gifted it to us, and so it's been a blessing. But one of the things is jotting down, and Jerome in particular is trying to lose some weight, and so now he's putting like so many minutes and then his weight. It helps because it's so easy when you don't, just to think, I'm not seeing a difference, because you don't always, you know, in his case, he's trying to lose weight. You don't always see the results. Even if you're not trying to lose weight, you're just trying to get healthy. You don't necessarily see. It's not like something that you can always gauge. You can typically gauge illness, but as you are moving from illness to health, it's not like suddenly your belt fits, you know, you're using one less hole, or it's not like your pants fit loosely. So again, it's trickier, but that's where it helps to be disciplined, to write down, you know, walk 20 minutes, and then, you know, whatever else you've done. Just jotting those things down makes such a huge difference. And so, you know, whether it's just on your calendar in your kitchen, your journal, you know, maybe it's something that you can do on your phone. But those are things that you can show, okay, I'm doing this. I like to do that with water too. You know, maybe it's just a little hash mark. Use your own little shorthand to jot down those things that you're doing. And then along the way, and that's what's exciting, because along the way, after weeks of doing some of these things, you start to see little hints that, oh, okay, maybe this is working. So it's so important that you do take time. And okay, hold on. Okay. All right, I've got some people that are trying to get on, and okay, I'm not quite sure. Okay. All right, V, can you still hear me? All right, I'm not sure why people are having trouble getting on. And okay. Okay, so apparently some of you are having trouble, but I'm just going to go ahead and finish this. I'm not sure what's happened, but anyway, one of the best things you can do is, again, record what you're doing, but then also think about getting okay, I see your hand. All right, one of the things that's important is to get an accountability person, you know, somebody that you can check in with, and consistently you're letting each other know. When I was getting ready to do my first 5K, I had somebody in my corner, and she and we would meet once a week, but the other days, it was just sometimes a simple little text, you know, 3 laps, 4 laps, whatever I was doing, because I was going to the gym or to the track because it's so close. But those are things that you're wanting to do so that you're able to have that sense that I've got to do this because they're doing it, even though we lived in different cities. So, you know, try to find someone that you're able to connect with. And then that tends to help. Also, keep a log. Again, whether it's on a calendar or just a little journal. And I like to do a journal because I also like to put down what I'm eating. because again, that forces you to really think about your food choices because you know you need to record them. I was doing that faithfully. And then I think with all of our projects and things being a little crazy, I haven't done it in a couple weeks. And just yesterday, I found myself thinking, when did I cook this? Is it still good? And that was one of the nice things. When I, just on my planner, when I wrote down every day what I was eating and it was in my planner, I could look back weeks and be able to see the last time I fixed whatever. And so it really is beneficial for that reason too. Keeping track of how much water you're drinking, what you're eating, what exercise you're doing, so that you're able to see. And then that way, as things start to change, you're able to go, oh, well, no wonder I'm feeling better. I've been, eating well. I've been exercising. I've been drinking water. I've been going to bed at 9:30 or 10. So journaling, keeping a log, all of those things are wonderful. And then really the last thing is the idea of pushing yourself. Now, we've got to be careful here because this is one that's really important because we want to push ourselves enough that we keep going, but not so much that we say, what's the use? I'll give you an example. If I said if I haven't been walking or doing anything and I say I'm going to start exercising 45 minutes, that would be totally unrealistic, totally. And so it's so important that you make it something that you can do that pushes you a little bit. So for example, if you're just starting out, and I know some of you are, it might be that I think I'm just going to go outside. If you say you have a dog or a pet, you might walk them to the corner and back. Or you might say, I'm just going to go around the block, okay, once a day. Or just whatever. And then maybe once you are comfortable with that, maybe you're going to do that in the morning and then in the evening. And so you want to build from there and then continue to push yourself. With our elliptical, we started with 5 minutes and now we're up to 8 minutes, okay? It's hard though. We started out doing the easy a warm-up, but now we skip the warm-up, so it starts hard. So even though 5 minutes to 8 minutes doesn't seem like that big of a deal, the fact is it's hard because the 5 we thought was hard, but now we're doing 8 hard minutes as opposed to 5 warm-up minutes, and then later on 5 warm-up minutes, and then 1 hard minute. Now it's all hard. But again, that would have been crazy and it would have been discouraging had we started there. So again, make sure that you're trying to be accountable to someone. Let the people closest to you in your life know what you're doing. And then say, I want you to check on me. Give updates because that does help. Also, keep track. Keep a log. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be just a little binder. It can be anything. Very, very basic. Or you can just use a calendar just to know what you're doing each day so that at the end of the week, you can look back over the week and realize these are the choices that I've made. So I hope that's helpful. I'd love to hear your comments. Be watching your email because I'm going to send out a handout on exercise, and it's going to talk about helping you track and just have some ideas. Again, make sure that you're writing down what are you going to do. Now, some of you are already doing plenty, but how about we, sort of ramp it up a little bit? How can you make it a little harder? How can you maybe do it a little bit more consistently? Maybe change it up a little bit, because that's one thing. A lot of times people will start doing something And then they'll get to the place where they don't see results. And some of it is, for example, and we haven't lately because of our deck, but we walk a lot. But, they used to say the 10,000 steps, but now they're saying that's just to get you started. We hear take 10,000 steps a day. But to really improve your health, if you're already taking 10,000, then it's time to ramp it up. Also, consider doing a variety of things. We're doing the elliptical in the morning. Of course, we're working on the deck, and we're definitely using a lot of different muscles. But hopefully we'll get back to walking in the evening. So it's nice to sort of mix and match things versus only walk or only jog. Because again, you're using different muscles, and it helps the body, or it actually prevents the body from saying, oh, I know what's coming. It sort of keeps things, keeps them surprised. And that's actually good for us, for our brain as well as for our physical body. So I'd love to hear, I know a lot of you, for different reasons, I just happened to look at my phone and see you couldn't get in. But, listen to the replay if you need to, go through it again. And then, leave me a message. And I'm not sure what happened because on this end, it looks like it's fine, other than I can tell you're not in the group. And we'll try to figure things out for next week. Next week, please try to be here. We're going to be talking about multiple things. So it'll be a jam-packed 45 minutes. So anyway, have an amazing week and definitely take care, and we will see you. And again, if you have questions, definitely ask. So, all righty.